Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we're discussing the Vacheron Constantin Historiques Corne de Vache. Now, Les Historiques, created in the late 80s by Vacheron, along with Longines, one of the first two brands to realize that there was enough nostalgic longing among watch collectors to justify bringing back modern interpretations of classic references from the past. And so in 2015, Vacheron brought back the historic 1955 launched 6087, also known as the Corne de Vache. The Corne de Vache, due to its cow horn-shaped lugs, was a famous piece, though ultimately only built in about 36 examples, so it was rare. Well, the reference 5000 here, first launched as a platinum model in 2015, became a steel limited edition for Hodinkee in 2018, and this, the series production steel model, came out in 2019. Now, it is bigger than the original, at 38.5 millimeters in diameter, though it's not big. And you could see, in profile, 11.1 millimeters thick from lug to lug, 47.4 millimeters, with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. It's a lovely watch. It wears easily. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, I would even say a perfect fit. And I think this would work on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. So if you are a lady who loves watches, this is a great option for you. Over the top always makes a watch look broader than it is, though you can see in profile it will slip under a dress cuff. Taking a look down the barrel now, you can see that the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist, so there's no impingement. Aesthetically, it's a good match. The strap is beautiful for this. Is Italian leather at its best. If you've ever sat inside a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Pagani, you know that smell. And here you can see Serapian Milano for Vacheron Constantin. So this is a factory strap, but it is a custom-made special piece, and the watch is perfectly matched. You can see the gradient of the brown from the center to the edge. We've got the Maltese cross, a simple pin buckle. This is how Vacheron does a dress watch. Taking a look at the case, you can see the lugs are lovely ones and that they are very sharply broken out from the case band. That is a lovely assembly. And the case itself is otherwise cylindrical, sheer, polished, and simple. We have vintage-inspired pump pushers, slight, I would say this is really sort of a stepped and then domed bezel, because there's that little step before the dome. Then we have a slightly cambered crystal over dial that features two different silvers. There's silver white for the minutes and seconds track, and then the rest of it is more of a sort of metallic silver. We have azurage or concentric patterns for the two sunken sub-registers. There is a tachymeter on the dial, which is a very 1950s way to do a tachymeter. Post-1960, this was generally on bezels, but this watch is based on a 1955 design. We have white gold indices, logo, numerals, and hands, and then we have blued hands for chronograph seconds and chronograph minutes. We have semi-instantaneous jumping chronograph minutes, and if you look carefully, you can see that the 5-minute and 5-second intervals are actually a sort of burgundy red, which adds a little bit of color to this otherwise grayscale dial, as do the two chronograph hands in blue. You can see the jump of the chronograph minutes, just like I said, semi-instantaneous jumping, and now we're going to turn it over and see what is going on out back. So the watch is 30 meters water resistant, reference 5000, a watch that is Geneva hallmark of both watch and movement. It is a full watch standard these days. The movement is a Lemania 2320, which is the luxury version of the 2310. Vacheron highly modifies it to create caliber 1142. So the beat rate goes from 2.5 hertz to 3, so 6 beats per second, 21,600 vibrations per hour. The mobile stud index is replaced by a free-sprung regulator for precise 5-position adjustment and greater shock tolerance. The flat hairspring is replaced by an overcoil, so it will breathe concentrically, and the watch will keep consistent time in every orientation. The watch still has a 48-hour power reserve, so that doesn't suffer in spite of the higher beat rate. All this pivots on 21 joules, and you can see a lovely black polished and Maltese cross centered column wheel assembly. You see how the cross doesn't move and the crenellated towers rotate around it? We have a lovely and beautifully executed steel lateral clutch, out of engagement, into engagement, out of engagement, into engagement. We've got the semi-instantaneous minute jumper and its jumper spring, as well as the heart cams. that allow the recentering of the mechanism. Chronograph components are all in steel, satin across their top and beveled on their edges, and the bridges, as well as base plate, all rhodium-plated brass. You can see some minimalist Côte de Genève across those bridges, and then if you look carefully, you can see that we've got a little inward bevel, second inward bevel, and a third inward bevel, where the bevels of the chronograph bridge meet in a sharp crease. That's always a feather in the cap. Black polished screw heads with chamfered slots in circumference. You can see there is engine turning on the base plate, satination on the wheels. A watch that is easy to love as it is easy to wear. And if you love it, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. Oh, and subjectively, because I know you're wondering, the column wheel feel is awesome.